Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another in my Beatles ranking series. I'm trying to wind this down, no pun intended, um, because they have a song called "Long and Winding Road." Anyway, it's a joke. So pause it, laugh, all that good stuff. Come on back. Welcome back. I am starting today from number 144 and going until I say stop. And hopefully, I'll try to run through this so I can get through the series because I'm sure you're all just ready for it to be over. So, 144 for me is from the last Beatles album, Let It Be. It's the John Lennon song Dig a Pony, which is kind of one of those nonsense Dylan kind of like Bob Dylan kind of lyric. Um, Great intro, the guitar, that boom, and then kind of like a false start from the rooftop, and you hear John say, "Hold it," and then him and George are going doon 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 with Paul on the bass line. They're all three playing together, and then there's that with the cymbals, and then I dig a pony, and just that great refrain. The all I want is you. I think he said he wrote that for Yoko, and of course it was a stalwart in the rooftop performance. So Dig a Pony comes in at 144. Number 143, the song Anytime at All, which I know has been covered many times. There's a version out there by Bryan Adams that's very good. But the Beatles version is great. Again, it starts on that great boom. Anytime at all. Boom, and then Paul, anytime at all. It's just one of those great Lennon and McCartney vocals. I love the track. And great guitar. When John says, and I'll be there. Bow, down, down, down. Just one of those great early Beatles tracks. Not much more to say. Number 142, the song "Hold Me Tight," which kind of starts almost like in the middle of the song. It goes doon 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 doon. It feels so right now. Hold me tight. And I can tell they're having a fun time on this recording. It sounds like Paul is trying so hard not to laugh when they're going the echo. So hold me tight. Toward the end, he's really struggling. It seems like to keep it together, but great vocals. The you know it's you. Oh no. Again, those early innocent Beatles songs were so good with the harmonies and the the instrumentation. They were really more sophisticated than they let on to be. But Hold Me Tight comes in at 142. 141 from the White Album is going to be Revolution 1, which is kind of like a more acoustic-y demo, almost like version of the single that would come out in 1968. And it's kind of got this, doo-wop-y kind of schmaltzy chorus. They're all going, oh, shooby doo-wop, oh, shooby doo-wop. A softer vocal from John. Again, probably John, his most political with the Beatles. This song, I like it a lot. I really do. And it would probably be a little bit higher if the other version of Revolution didn't exist, to be honest with you. But because that version, hint, hasn't shown up yet on my list, it will be showing up later on. But Revolution 1, it's a great, great sound. It's got that great, dun, 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 that 12 bar blues sound. And then it's kind of got that slow bluesy guitar, that it's just, it's a slower version of Revolution with, instrumentation. I love the percussion. Just a great, great version. I love it. 140, let's stick to the White Album, Birthday, which is one of those songs that, if I don't have a birthday, that I don't have somebody sending me either a meme of this song or a clipping with my face, edited into it. If that never happens again, my life would probably be a little bit happier. But I digress. It's a good song. It's a one of those rocking songs. I think it was mostly improv, from what I remember correctly. I didn't do any, you know, deep research into this other than what I've read over the years. I believe this is a jam that kind of, again, um, a lot of improv. It's got all sorts of people singing in the background. I believe Linda McCartney is singing on this, as is Yoko, with I would like you to dance, birthday, take a cha 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 chance. And then it's one of those songs McCartney always sings live. He's like, "This is for anybody that has a birthday today," and then he plays it, and everybody freaks out, and we all hold hands and enjoy it. But it's a great track. You know, it's just it's one of those stalwart songs of the White Album, and you know you can't get around it. Sorry, I had a hair in my mouth. Anyway, maybe that was birthday making itself known. 139 from Revolver. I want to tell you a great George track. Probably one of the brassier songs that he has. I mean, obviously you have Savoy Truffle, which had a lot of brass on it, but I want to tell you, just I want to tell you, my head is filled with things to say. It's just a great vocal. I love the piano in the background. I know Randall Nelson probably loves the song a little bit more than I do. He likes that Rubber Soul Revolver era of the Beatles, which I do too, but it's not my absolute favorite. But I want to tell you, a great George track, and happy to put it on 139. 138 from Rubber Soul. This is for Randall Nelson. Michelle, the ballady, kind of cheesy French tune that Paul McCartney wrote. You know, it's very cool finger picking. It's a lot more difficult than it sounds. I've tried, and it's not easy, but it's got this, you know, Frenchness on demande, très bon, très bien ensemble, très bien ensemble. I want you, I want you, I want you. Quick little track, just a little over 2 minutes long. Um, I like it a lot. Again, years ago when I was younger, I didn't like it as much. But you know, it is just one of those songs that stuck with me through life events and, you know, different things. And I like the song. Like I said, I've tried to play it on guitar. It's not easy. 137 is the song "There's a Place," which is surprising that it's this high. Again, I love the kind of the warble and the vocals where they're singing, you know, where I can go, where I feel love, when I feel blue, and it's my mind, and there's no time. I love the opening harmonica, that wah, wah, na, na, wah, wah, na, na. It's just, again, a great song, and I love the middle eight by Paul, you know, where he goes, don't you know that it's so, that's true. So I love that early Paul where he gets those high notes, and I think it's wonderful. So there's a place. 137, 136. The second track on the Please Please Me album, Misery. The world is treating me bad. Misery. Dun, dun, dun. Again, a great song where you can see Paul and John at the mics, kind of looking at each other. You can just imagine it where they're going, "I'm the kind of guy that never used to cry," and just, you know, it sounds like the Beatles live, and I love it. 135 from Abbey Road, Mean Mr. Mustard from the medley. Um, love the track, love the opening drums. Doom, 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 doom. Mean Mr. Mustard sleeps in the park, shaves, and it's just great imagery in it. Sleeps in a hole in the road, saves him up to buy some clothes. And I know he changed the lyrics to be Pam instead of, you know, his sister Sally. He says his sister Pam because obviously Polythene Pam would show up later in the medley. So Me, Mr. Mustard, again, probably it would be a little bit higher if it was a fully fleshed out song, but, you know, it's part of that iconic medley at the end of Abbey Road. So it's 135. 134, another George track, the last track on Beatles for Sale, I believe. Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. My old Carl Perkins tune. Um, George's voice is so young. You know, well, they took some honeydew from a tree. He goes, from a tree. I love that. How he says that line. Dressed it up and they called it me. Doing everybody's trying to be my. Just a fantastic song. George worshiped Carl Perkins, and like I've said earlier in the series, he did that special in the '80s where he got to play with Carl Perkins and a bunch of other, you know, guys that are held in very high regard. Eric Clapton, G.E. Smith, so people like that. Slim Jim Phantom. It's just a fantastic track. It's the Beatles at their roots, and I think it's a great way to close Beatles for Sale. 133. I'm going to stick to George again. I'm happy just to dance with you from the Hard Day's Night album. Before this dance is through, I think I love her too. I'm so happy when you dance, just to dance with you. I love that song. I love. Is that from Just Happy? Yeah, I believe it's from Hard Day's Night. Yeah, Hard Day's Night. And there's They play it when they're dancing in the club in that scene where they're doing dancing with the women, and you can remember that in the movie. Um, Love that track. Love George's vocals, and it's a Lennon and McCartney track. It's not a George It's not a cover, or it's not an original by George, because as we know, Hard Day's Night's the only Beatles album where all the songs were written by Lennon and McCartney, and it's the first Beatles album to incorporate all originals. So kind of a step forward for the Beatles, even though they would take a step back maybe for Beatles for Sale with a bunch of covers. But I'm Happy Just to Dance with You is a great Lennon McCartney track for Harrison. 132, we're going to stick to Please Please Me again. I'm going to go back to it. The song Boys, the Ringo track. Really an interesting choice for a song for Ringo, but very, I guess, progressive in the way, because they don't change really the genders to an extent. They do a little bit, but not fully. It was a song that Ringo was singing back in the Cavern Club. He sang it both with the Beatles and with Roy Storm and the Hurricanes. And Pete Best, who was the original drummer for the Beatles, well, the one before Ringo, was also the vocalist on this track before Ringo joined. So Ringo sang it in both of the groups that he was in. And again, it's one that he still sings regularly. Fantastic, live, raspy voice by Ringo. If you listen to the Live at the Hollywood Bowl album, the soundtrack that Ron Howard put out a few years ago, there's a great version of that. And Ringo, you can hear like grit in his voice. It's very, very hard, very almost punky. And I really like the track Boys is 132. 131, we're going to go back to Rubber Soul with the song The Word, which is, to me, epitomizes the flower power kind of movement. This was 1965, so we were slowly moving in that direction, not necessarily globally, but definitely in San Francisco. This was already taking place. We're obviously 2 years off from the Summer of Love, but the Beatles were ahead of the game, singing about, it's the word love. Uh, I think, one of the things that always annoyed me about the song, it was almost like there were too many lyrics that they were trying to spit out at once, where John's going, in the beginning I was misunderstood. It just seemed like there were one too many words in that. Uh, but the song always reminded me of the 60s. Like, it's one of the most 60s sounding songs that the Beatles did, which is not a bad thing. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting song to have on Rubber Soul, is my opinion. 130, we're gonna go with the Long and Winding Road from Let It Be. Again, one of those songs that it's played out for me. It's one of McCartney's greatest songs, sure. And I know it was a topic of contention with him and Phil Spector by adding the strings that McCartney did not want. And again, one of those songs that McCartney always plays live. It's a standard song for him. It's going to be great American songbook, in the modern era. Long and Winding Road's a beautiful song. Love it. 129 from the Magical Mystery Tour album, but it's a song that predates Sgt. Pepper. It's the song Strawberry Fields Forever, which many people consider to be John Lennon's masterpiece. It has never been a song that has stuck out with me. I would say probably a lot of my respect for the song kicked in when I was listening to the Love soundtrack, the Cirque du Soleil Love album that came out, and they played the Strawberry Fields Forever kind of acoustic version of it. And to hear John, how it was broken down and how it gradually built up to this, symphonic pop kind of song that's very psychedelic with the slide. I love the slide guitar. That bow, it's very, it's just very, very trippy. And it's a song that you hear it in color. That's the best way to describe it. And yeah, I mean, I don't fault people for liking it, but again, I've always held it a little bit lower than a lot of what other people might say. 128, we're going to go back to Rubber Soul with I'm Looking Through You, one of the great acoustic openings of a Beatles track, one of the great guitar openings of any track. First heard the song on Beatles Rock Band in 2009, which is, as many of you know, is where I really kickstarted my love of the Beatles deep cuts. And this was one of those songs that I just fell in love with instantly. I learned it on guitar. That down, 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 very country sounding. But then they kind of break into the, I'm looking through you, you're not the same. And then they get that organ. Bum, 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 bum. Great song. I love how they go, why, tell me, why did you not treat me right? And in the background, you hear that boom, 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 on the guitar. Love that. So 128, I'm Looking Through You from Rubber Soul. 127 is the song Tell Me Why. A great Beatles vocal and I love how they're all singing it. The three singers. I mean, obviously Ringo's not singing on this, but they really get up there in their register. I love the whole "Tell me why you crying, why you lie to me," um, and then how they all hit that really high. There's just nothing that I'd rather do. Yeah, I really can't stand it. I'm so in love with you. Tell me why. I love it. Love the song. 126. We're gonna go to Revolver with "She Said, She Said," where John Lennon sings, "She said, I know what it's like to be dead. I know what it is to be said," and which came from a line that Peter Fonda had said at a party where he was kind of trying to be all metaphysical, and his counterculture kind of lingo, and I think John originally had it listed as he said, but then they changed it to she said because it worked with more of a, not a love song, but just for the man looking at it from the woman's perspective. 125, we'll stop here, from the White Album, "Happiness is a Warm Gun." Really kind of a great, collage of several little mini songs. It starts out with that very, dreamlike, not druggy, but kind of foggy. She's not a girl who misses much. Do 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 do. Oh yeah. And then it just breaks into this, bow. She's well acquainted with the touch of the velvet hand. And then it kind of has like this acid, I need a fix because I'm going down. It's a heavy song, and I think it's a great track. And then obviously, "Happiness is a warm gun, mama. Happiness is a warm, yes it is gun." It's just a great Motown sounding finish. It's almost like like a Motown kind of song at the end. But it's a great collage, great John song. One of my favorite John songs. I probably should have had it a little bit higher, but I didn't. So yeah, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and do one more, just to finish out my page here where I have everything written down. I'm gonna go to "With the Beatles, I Want to Be Your Man," the Ringo Starr track, which of course the Beatles gave it to the Stones. The Stones had a pretty big hit with it. They kind of slowed it down, made it a little bit bluesier, but great Ringo rocker. That opening guitar note, that "bow down, I want to be your lover." Great maracas sounding from, again, the "With the Beatles" album. Beatles harmonies, "I want to be your man," and then Paul, "I want to be your man." Just a great Ringo vocal. I love it. It's possibly Ringo at his heaviest vocally, and it's not one that I get tired of. I know people give Ringo a hard time, but it's 124 on my list, and that's, I'm proud to put it there. So there you go, everybody. That was 144 through 124. So we got through a good little chunk today. So let me know what you think. I'm trying to get this done under 20 minutes. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I can't wait to get up to the upper numbers on this series and see what you all think. In the meantime, y'all be good. Take care, comment, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.